Welcome to my Ulduar 10-man The Assembly of Iron guide. This fight is pretty simple, but can be tricky if you lose track of what is going on. There are 3 bosses to kill in any order you like, but the easiest order is Runemaster Mulgheim, followed by Steelbreaker, and lastly, Stormcaller Brundir. This is because when a boss dies, the others gain a buff called Supercharge, which will give the bosses new abilities and increased damage. There is no point in cleaving the other bosses, as when one dies, the others go back to full health. While all 3 are alive, your main tank will take both Runemaster Mulgheim and Steelbreaker to one side of the room, while the off tank will take Stormcaller Brundir to the other side of the room. This is because Stormcaller Brundir uses an ability called Overload, which will do massive damage within a 20-yard radius, and it is easier for the raid to avoid this if he is tanked away. Your off tank and any DPS on him will need to run away from him when he casts this ability. While tanking the other 2, the main tank needs to watch for Fusion Punch, which is cast by Steelbreaker. Basically, the Fusion Punch will do a massive amount of damage to your tank and adds a debuff that does heavy damage as well. The debuff is magical and should be dispelled immediately. He will raise his arm in the air and you will see the lightning in his fist when he casts Fusion Punch. The other thing to watch out for as the main tank is the Rune of Power, which is cast by Runemaster Mulgheim. He will put a blue rune on the floor, which will increase all damage done by anyone standing in it by 50%. This includes the bosses, which means the tank needs to pull them out of the rune. Runemaster Mulgheim will also use an ability called Shield of Runes, which will absorb damage, then give him a damage boost when the shield is broken. Stormcaller Brundir will use an ability called Chain Lightning, which hits 3 players total and isn't a major issue. Another ability that is minor but you should be aware of is High Voltage, which is cast by Steelbreaker. When one boss is dead, Stormcaller Brundir will gain an ability called Lightning Whirl, which must be interrupted immediately. The spell does heavy damage to the entire raid while each second it's casting. If your tank is not comfortable handling all of the interrupts on their own, it is suggested to send a DPS over there who can help. Stormcaller Brundir can also be stunned in addition to being interrupted, but will become immune to stuns when he is the only one left alive. When one boss is dead, Steelbreaker will gain an ability called Static Disruption, which will hit a random player and increase their nature damage taken. When Stormcaller Brundir is the last boss alive, he will gain an ability called Lightning Tendrils, where he will fly into the air and float around the room, releasing literal lightning tendrils below him. The idea is to stay away from him while he is flying until he comes back down to the ground. And when he does come back down to the ground, his aggro will be reset, so do not be standing near him and just let a tank pick him up. Everything I have mentioned in this fight happens until the boss casting those abilities dies. The best time to use Bloodlust in this fight is when you are killing the second boss, or if you can time it well, you can use it to finish the first boss while standing in a rune and keep both buffs for the second boss when the first one dies, much like my group did. Survive long enough and the loot will be yours. Thank you so much for watching this video, I hope it helps, and have a great day!